Well, greetings and salutations, everyone, and welcome to today's bonus upload. Before we jump into it, a couple links. As many of you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, channel membership, and the merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Links to Patreon, PayPal, and channel membership is in the description below. Merch displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman Frightening Encounters, Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeff Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support the channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe. It doesn't cost a cent. Click the like button, takes half a second. If you don't want to miss out on any of the informative uploads I put out daily, click that bell icon, and folks, please leave a comment. Why? Well, because these things really do help the channel to continue to grow and go. And yes, folks, they definitely do matter. Now, everyone, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's jump in to today's bonus, shall we? All right, folks, today's bonus is going to be some very interesting video evidence and a subscriber and her daughter's interview experiences out of Maine and New Hampshire. Let's get into it. Lorian, how are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you for having me again. I'm really excited, and I can't appreciate this enough, or thank you enough for doing this. It's a wonderful platform, very welcoming, and the subscribers have been awesome with, their comments and their feedback and some of the information they gave. It really does help with the therapeutic side of it too. The support has just been amazing, and I haven't really had that anywhere else. So I'm really grateful that I came your way, and I can't thank you enough for having me with open arms, and not just that, a better understanding of how to not just move on, but just deal with it and cope with it, and know that I'm not crazy, and if somebody does think I'm crazy, that it's okay, because this happened to me, not them, and that's just a part of my life, and that's that. So I can't thank you enough, Jeff.
Thank you. I really appreciate it, and I'm glad that we have the family in the comment section that we have. They're
for sure.
Support, and they're all really good people. So the majority of them. But so I'm gonna give you the floor so you can share what happened in New Hampshire. For all of those who are just tuning in and don't know Lorian, look for, it was 9 days ago, mom's encounter at an Indiana State Park government cover-up. That was the first interview I had with her. So now we're going to get into the New Hampshire. Lorian, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Jeff. Okay. So when we came back from Indiana, as I said before, we met my mother's husband in Pennsylvania. He picked us up. We ended up going to New Hampshire at my mom's over in Milton, New Hampshire. We were there for a little while, and then my mom bought a piece of property in Somersworth, and right next door to it was another place available for us to get. So my mom is my neighbor. But anyways, so there we are. When we first moved there, it's funny because Jeff and I were talking about when I first moved in there and whatnot, and as somebody else said, hindsight is 20/20. And after having conversations with Jeff, it's all laying out a foundation, a platform of these things are here, or I may have been followed, or like I just said, they've been here for a while. I'm not sure. But when we first moved to Slimersworth, we had a bunch of cats that would love to come to our back door, and the kids would feed them. And we had skunks too. There was a big mama skunk, and she had 3 or 4 babies that would follow her around. We saw a groundhog, and we had some really big raccoons. I mean, these babies were big, and obviously they would come out at night and whatnot. But for the first few months, we saw them, and they were slowly disappearing. And it was hard to break it to the kids that, especially with the cats, because they got used to the cats and whatnot. And we actually paid for some of the cats to get neutered so they would stop breeding, and they would disappear. And we had to, explain to the kids that sometimes other people will adopt them, or things happen, hit by a car or other animals or things like that. But then, a few months later after moving in, it went from having all these critters to nothing. Literally, there's no more cats around anymore. I haven't seen any skunks. Normally, like I said, when I first moved in, you could smell them, hear them. You don't smell them anymore around our area. Raccoons have been completely gone, and I'll get back into the raccoons when I talk about the juvenile encounter. But anyways, so my encounter, the second encounter, but my first one in New Hampshire, happened in May of 2019. Okay, it almost puts a pit feeling in my stomach when I start talking about it, because it's almost like a quick flashback of the feeling of the emotions that ran through my body, and just that feeling of my life. It's almost like that saying of people saying their life is flashing before their eyes, but I don't want to say that. It was more than that. It was to the core fear. Like I thought Indiana was bad. There's this took the cake. This was really, it impacted my life 10 times more than Indiana did. So May 2019, every night, before that, every night, I would walk my little one in the stroller, and even my other kids would go for evening walks with us, no matter the weather. We went down, I'm not going to say the road that I live on, but I will say the other road. We would walk down Bussumsville Road, and then we would cut over to down street, and then onto 2nd Street, 3rd Street, and whatnot, and do loops, and then we would go home. And we would do those loops for sometimes 2 or 3 hours in the evening, colder weather. So one night, the kids were at my house, and as I said, my mom is my wonderful neighbor. She kept an eye on them so I could get a break and have some self-care time. And I went down Bussumsville Road And like I said, this is May. So the weather was warm enough that I had a t-shirt, a pair of leggings, sneakers, and I had my phone in my hand, and nothing was on it. And I had my earphones that plugged into the phone, but I had them kind of like draped around my shoulder, and I just kind of carried my phone up near like my chest area where my arm was bent. So I'm holding my phone that way, and I'm, so the cord doesn't fall off of my neck. So I'm thinking I'm just going to have a little stroll by myself, and I didn't feel like doing the loops that we would normally do. I wanted to go down the river walk, and the river walk I'm talking about, it's called the Summersworth Salmon Falls River Walk or something like that, right off of Buffinsville Road. And it's just a trail right along the river, as it says, and all wooded area. And if you follow the trail, it goes towards, right on the other side of the river is Berwick, Maine. But if you keep going down the river, it brings you into South Berwick area. And it's all wooded area. So, as I said, I was going down Buffinsville, and I decided to go down the river walk. And right at the beginning of the river walk, there's an open parking lot that is all dirt, which is on the side of the road on Buffinsville Road. And sometimes people park their cars there overnight, like if they're visitors or guests of some of the houses along Buffinsville Road, because the driveways aren't big enough or whatnot. They park their cars over there. And some do it all year round, and you're able to. So there were a few cars there, and nobody was in them or anything, and I didn't think anything of it. But that night, it was dead quiet, which was strange for that time of year, especially for an evening that the weather was a little warmer. Like I said, it was in a t-shirt and leggings, and I was comfortable. And normally around that time, you would hear crickets, the frogs, especially being right along the river and having the woods right there. But there was nothing. And like I said, my headphones weren't in my ears at that point. They weren't at all that night. So I walked into the dirt area, and there's like this permanent access gate that's there that is, it's locked by a key lock, and if it's unlocked, the bar will swing open. And obviously they keep it shut all the time, so people won't bring down their ATVs or sleds or anything like that, because the trail is kind of skinny, and one side of the trail there's woods in a good area of thicket. That's on like the right side of the trail, and then on the left side of the trail is just straight down river. So obviously it's for people's safety not to bring down machinery that way, and they don't want people to tear up the trail. Sorry, Jeff, this is just like, it gets me every time.
That's all right. Take your time.
So I stopped for a moment, and I took the headphones that were wrapped around my neck, and I remember that I was looking on each headphone, because one's L and one's R or whatever, and I'm picky, and you can put them in whatever year, but whatever, that's besides the point. But I was doing that, and when I did that, I had that feeling that almost the one that my husband at the time described, of being watched. And here I am thinking, okay, it's in the evening, warmer weather, maybe there's people around, or somebody's down at the trail, or maybe it's somebody at the house, somebody's outside or something. And I kind of just turned around because there's houses on the other side of the road from where I was standing. And I'm kind of just skimming by, and I get the headphones like in my hands, ready to put them in my ears, and I'm thinking, no, don't put the headphones in. And I debated on going back home, and I didn't. And it was one of those things, and I know everybody's going to comment on this. I know it's one of those woulda, coulda, shouldas that always listen to your first instinct, and I didn't. And I could still recall the day I had that day. It was kind of a rough day for me, and I just wanted, I just wanted to get out of the house that evening and just kind of be on my own and go on my walk, and nothing was going to stop that. So even though my gut instinct was to go home, I ignored it. As I said, I decided not to put the earphones in my ear or ears. I wrapped them around my phone. And I took my phone and I had it in my left hand, and I would start to walk down the trail. And after you go around that green barred gate thing that I was explaining, there's like huge boulder rocks that are along the gate too, and along in the parking lot. So you got to kind of walk around those. And when I did that, it sounded like, when somebody is walking on sand or gravel, you can hear that, the way their shoe sounds on it. So you can tell if somebody is wearing a shoe or not wearing a shoe. It sounded like somebody wasn't wearing a shoe. I knew that it was coming from ahead of me, but then I had to remind myself that I'm in an area that sometimes people go down there. There are cars in the parking lot, so it could have been anybody, but there was no light. And it was pretty dark, but there is a light in that parking lot, but not bright enough to shine down over there. But there are at the part of the trail where this happened to me, the trees are spread apart enough at the top that whatever light by the moon does shine down there, you are able to see maybe 5 to 8 feet in front of you, or make out what an object is. You just well enough to know what it is, but not a bunch of details on it, I should say. So I heard that. And then I don't know why, but this sticks out in my mind too. I was also thinking, well, maybe it could be my footing echoing off of the river somehow. I don't know. Almost like one of those things where you're kind of scared, but you don't want to pay attention to it, so you try to fill your head with other things to make that feeling subside. So, God, I went a little further, and the trail goes straight to the right. Right after you get over those big rocks and that barred gate thing, it kind of goes down a little bit like a little hill, and then it goes straight to the right, and then the trail goes straight. Well, it kind of zigzags a little bit, but it's just straight ahead. I didn't even get that far. I got where it curves. There's an open part where there is rock, like a rock on the left side. The thicket's to the right, but on the left side there is open rock that people would stand on to fish, and then there's a river right there, but the rock is partially on the land and in the river, but the rock is massive, but it's like in the round in a way, if that makes sense. So again, that area was kind of open to bring in some light of the moon. Whew. So I'm so sorry. I know I'm taking my sweet time here, but it's like my heart's going 90, and this one was when I got a little further, right there on that corner, I heard the deepest growl that I have ever heard in my entire life. I felt it, Jeff. I felt it in my stomach. I felt it in my being. I felt it like it was. Oh my God! I don't even know why I'm crying, but
It's okay.
It was beyond deep. The only way I can describe this, and I'm sorry, I'm doing the best that I can right now. The only way that I can describe this is, okay, my husband at the time, the father of my boys, he has a very bassy, deep voice, like a manly voice. And almost, actually, just kind of like what you do, Jeff, when you talk, sometimes you clear your throat, and you do that yeah, you're just clearing your throat. Right. But that deep bassiness to it, times that by 500. But this was literally, and this was to my right side in the woods part, and I knew it had to be no more than 2 to 3 feet away from me. I mean, it was something that, if looking back at it now, closing, like if I were to close my eyes and then snap away all the trees and everything that was between us, I probably could have stuck my arm out and leaned over a little bit, and I probably would have touched it. I mean, I gotta breathe for a second. I'm just... I'm sorry.
You're doing fine. You're doing fine.
I feel like I'm like talking so fast, and I feel like my breath can't like catch up with what's going through my head, like everything that I'm trying to process and then trying to get out, but I'm trying to make sure I say it enough to make enough sense, because if I just say it the way that my brain is processing it, it's not going to make any sense to anybody else. Do you know what I mean? It's one of those things where if you do it that way, that's when people are going to think you're crazy. But okay, so as soon as I heard that, I don't know why, but I don't know how. Well, I know why. But I dropped my phone and I peed my pants. And that's embarrassing to say. As a mom, as a wife at the time, as a woman who's almost 40, it scared me enough that I urinated on myself.
Listen, there's nothing to be embarrassed about. Grown men have admitted to that, so it's understandable.
And like I said, at that time, I dropped my phone, and then I swear, at the same time as dropping the phone and my bladder letting loose, which I had no control over, it's like it was so traumatizing that the rest of my body couldn't keep its normal functions. Like my brain was trying to compensate for what is going on at that very moment, that my bladder let loose. And it's amazing of how our bodily functions can do that. Like, it pays attention to what's most important, like we were talking about earlier. But anyway, so as soon as that happened, I mean, when I say a stick broke, I'm not talking about a stick. I'm talking about like a branch being snapped or ripped right next to me, like it was in the way. And it was just the noise of it happened so quick. It was just, and when I'm talking about this, I mean, this all happened so fast. It was like a matter of like a minute or so, like, but there's so much in depth of everything that I'm noticing and observing. It's almost like time stands still. But anyway, so that breaks. I see what my husband at the time was explaining when he mentioned the ears. I saw that. I saw his eyes. I saw his nose. Didn't really have a neck. And I saw the branch that was in his hand. His hand. And I'm saying his because you could tell it was a male. But all this happened so fast. I mean, before I knew it, I was running. And please don't think I'm trying to hold back information or anything. But the next thing that I remember is I remember inhaling as I'm running so hard that my lungs were burning and stinging. But I remember that feeling running through that parking lot and going past a black car that was parked in the parking lot area. And I don't remember how I got home. I don't remember the run home. I don't remember showering. I don't remember going to bed or waking up the next day. Not being able to remember the walk home, or the run home, I should say, or the showering part. It's almost like it's a crazy feeling to know that you showered, but you don't remember the actions. It's a crazy feeling to know that you got home, but you don't know exactly how. But I know that I definitely ran because of the motions of me running home through the parking lot. And I live literally from where that incident happened. I live walking distance, maybe 2 to 3 minutes, 5 minutes tops if you walk really slow. So I must have gotten. You know what really bothers me about this too? I don't even know if I said hello to my children. I don't know if my children talk to me about something. I don't know, and I feel awful. I like. How am I supposed to be a mom and not know? What if my little boy at the time was asleep and he had a bad dream and he came in and told me about it? What if something happened to him and he talked to me about it? I don't remember. And I'm ashamed to talk to them about it. I did ask my mom the next day. She said that the boys went to bed as soon as I left. So I am happy to know at least that much. But yeah, that's what happened.
That's definitely, the PTSD, repressed memory thing, that's actually, a scientific, psychological effect of a traumatic experience. I want to steer you away from that encounter because your next one is a lot better for your mentality.
So shortly after that, so as I said, that trail is on Buffumsville Road, and such a weird name to say. I always feel like I'm saying it wrong every time I say it. But one of our friends, my boys are friends with this lady and her husband with their children. And their house, ironically, is the house right next to that parking lot. And so their backyard faces that river. Oh, this one's so crazy, but it's kind of cool. We had the chance to see a beautiful, curious little guy. And that makes up for everything else. It really does. It's amazing. So we went over there, long story short, over there grilling, and we're out back there, and she notices that there's something standing. Well, all right, her yard has almost like those boulder things, those rocks along the foundation, but they're kind of like the bigger rocks, not like the ones from like the settlers that marked the edge of their property or anything, but these are just like the bigger boulders, kind of like the ones that were in the parking lot of the trail area. But anyways, so she has a few of those along the edge of her property, and it's not a really big yard at all. I don't know, not even like a half an acre, maybe, if that. So then there's the woods right there along with those rocks. And we see he had to have been, okay, yeah, maybe like the size of like a 10-year-old or a 10 to 12-year-old boy. I mean, he was standing there, and I swear to God, he came out because we were growing. I mean, just plain as day. I mean, he was the most beautiful. I mean, if you could put together like the way almost like if people can Google a coyote the way they look around here, and how cute like a red fox there, like their nose in like a German Shepherd, and stand them up like with a human body with hair all over it and cute little raccoon hands. Like that's, I mean, he was gorgeous, Jeff. I mean, he was so curious. So curious. I don't know how else to say this, but, and then we heard a snap, like a really small twig break. His head turned. He looked back at us, and the way he turned to go away was so, like the way he maneuvered his body was a way that we normally wouldn't do it as humans. He literally, he was so quick about it. But I swear when he took off, we barely even heard him. Like it was just, like after knowing that he ran off into the woods and not hearing where he went, and we're so close to the woods, imagine how many of these are actually around and we don't even know it. I mean, it was awesome. That's all I could say. It was awesome. I mean, he was so cute. I literally, her and I, we were so shocked, but yet almost like grateful to see something so beautiful. I mean, it was awesome. And then, her and I had a conversation recently, and she told me that, it stole her bird feeder. He grew, not doubled his size since then. Like I said, that happened, in 2019, more towards the end of summer, almost around like this time. He did grow, but she said that she had this bird feeder out in her yard, and the way he came up and took it and grabbed it so quick, he like wrapped his arm around it and ran off on all, I can't say all fours, all threes. He took off like a three-legged dog. That's exactly the way she said it. Like he had it tucked with his little hand, well, big hand, in towards his chest area, and he was gone. Took off into the woods with a bird feeder. And when you and I were talking, and when you said that he has a little toy That's what even her husband was saying, that he, what else do they have? What else has he stolen? I mean, wouldn't it be funny if he has this little collection of just random little doodads? And it makes you wonder sometimes. Huh?
Garden gnomes and other things.
Yeah. Well, think about this. Think about sometimes, and I believe all of us have had this happen. We're out in the woods, walking, going camping in areas that nobody else has gone in, and we find random stuff. How is it put there? I mean, it could be, we don't know. So some of those things out there randomly placed in the woods could be something that a critter stole, whether it be a raccoon or one of these guys or, anything. But it's so not, I don't want to say funny, but it's so amazing how he just made the decision that was his now, and he's going to run away with it. Not on his feet, but with the rest of the 3 appendages that he has to hobble along to take off with his prized possession, and it's just, I don't know, I think it's absolutely amazing. And the best thing about this is we can hear him, and we can hear a bigger one. I was trying to explain to you, Jeff, the other night that we can hear almost like a man or a teenager boy, like morphed together, like the vocal cords haven't matured well enough. Can you help me here with what I'm trying to say?
Like when a boy is going through puberty, it's got like that deep guttural, and then it goes to like a squeak kind of. It hasn't matured yet.
Yeah. So we can hear that mainly at night, but it'll be dead quiet. And then all of a sudden you'll just hear very strange yips, or like a call or something. And I know what coyotes sound like, or even the coy dogs and whatnot, and the fisher cats, and fisher cats almost sound like something is murdering a pig, or it sounds like a baby or a woman screaming at the pig. It's loud. But these things, you can hear, and we know what it is. You can hear him interacting with an adult, and I'm assuming it's a male adult because the bass on that, the sound, the deepness of it, I can't say that it's identical to what I walked into. Oh my God, every time I even start to talk, it just grabs me. But it could be that one. I don't know. But either way, it's an adult and it's got to be that little guy. That's basically what we've nicknamed him, little guy or little man, which is ironic. But you were talking about him, you called him little man too. So that's his name now, just little man, and one day he'll be big man. And I really hope he enjoys his little collected items and isn't too scared away, by the people around here. But obviously they're not, because they are not far at all. And if people are trying to figure out where I'm talking about, just look up Somersworth, New Hampshire, and look up the Salmon Falls River and Blossomsville Road. There's a river walk trail right along the river. That's where the first one that I actually saw was. And then where he stole the bird feeder was right next to that parking lot. But you can see how dense the wood area is in that area. Like, it's just, there's plenty of space for them to live.
There's a lot of space. I don't mean to cut you off, but we're coming up on time. I do want to emphasize a point to everybody. Where Lorian is talking about when she says there is a lot of space, that river that runs along where she's describing, just opposite of that is Maine. And a lot of Maine is dense woods, but there is cities in Maine, but it's New Hampshire, Vermont, Maine, upstate New York is very dense with woods, and they can just travel, follow the creek beds, river beds. They use those riverbeds and creek beds as roadways, like we would use a road. So it's very dense area where she lives. So.
Oh, and not to mention, which I think has a connection to this. There's a couple of laundromats in town here. There are so many missing pets in this little area, and a majority of them, some people will put their address or the last place that they were seen are on these roads, right all along this river. It is amazing. My ex-husband and I. You what? That's
the first thing to go is the smaller animals.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy. From now on, when I start seeing that stuff, I almost want to start taking pictures and sending it to you and possibly you can post it or something to see the amount that I'm talking about. I'm not just talking, a couple of dogs and a few cats here and there during the summertime or a dog gets loose. I'm talking like in the 10s or 20s.
Right.
Every 5 or 6 months.
Right.
I mean, and this is a small little area. I mean, it's crazy.
I have about 45 seconds left.
Okay. All right.
You want to say goodbye to everybody and give a farewell to everybody quick?
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much for all your support. And I appreciate everybody's opinions, good or bad. And I understand both sides. And every now and then I jump in with the comments. And if you have any questions, I have no problem answering them to the best of my knowledge. And yeah, feel free to ask. I'm an open book. And I just want to thank everybody. And I want to thank Jeff for making this foundation for us. And I wish everybody a good night and stay safe out there.
Thank you for coming again. I appreciate it. And I really appreciate you sharing the really hard one. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. Anytime.
Look. Listening that's not human. It's not a human. The face is here at first, but no. That is not a human. Oh my god. a human. This means that that's not human. It's not a human. The face is here at first, but no. That is not a human.
Oh my god. Are you ready for one? Yeah. Jeez. Maybe it'd be a little bit lighter. Actually wipe out. Are you ready for one? Yeah. Jeez. Maybe it'd be a little bit lighter. Actually wipe out. What the world? What is that? Oh, that's incredible. What?
No way. Are you serious? What? What is that? Oh, man. What the world?
All right, folks, there's some of my just favorite video clips. I love watching them. What an amazing interview, though. I hope you all enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you, and I'd like to thank you all for supporting the channel. It is, after all, your support that keeps the channel growing and going, and honestly, what gives people a chance and a place to share their experiences and theories judgment-free, just simply treated with the respect that we all deserve. Thank you. Everyone stay safe, happy, healthy, and ever vigilant, keeping an eye on our children, pets, family, and friends. These creatures are real. They are out there and dangerous. Share this information with those you love and care about, and it may just help save their lives someday. And until next time, never stop asking questions, never stop searching for the truth, and God bless.